First guest today, Henry Williams. He is the executive director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board, joining us today on the MegaCast. Henry, thanks for being with us.
Oh, you're so welcome, Tyler. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So for those that are not familiar, those that maybe have heard of something similar to this, or maybe have heard of the board but aren't entirely sure what it oversees, give it a brief explanation of what the Michigan Gaming Control Board oversees at the state level.
Oh, absolutely. So the Michigan Gaming Control Board is charged with the responsibility of overseeing the 3 Detroit commercial casinos, horse racing here in the state, millionaire parties, which is part of charitable gaming, and also the tribal casino that relates to reviewing the payment of tax revenue from those entities.
We're joined by Henry Williams. He is the executive director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board, with us on the MegaCast. And so the online gaming industry, online betting as well in the state of Michigan is still relatively new. It's been in play for less than a year at this point. Where is it at right now? How is that industry developing as we're now eight or so months in to that being legal here in the Great Lakes state?
Yes, the online industry, internet sports betting and internet gaming has hit a tremendous launch here in the state of Michigan. The platforms are performing well. We're expecting nearly $200 million probably in revenue in taxes from the online industry. Of course, payments to the state of Michigan, the city of Detroit, and to the tribal nations. So the launch has gone very well. The citizens are excited about online gaming, and so far, so good.
We're joined by Henry Williams, the executive director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board. And when online gambling in particular was legalized here in the state of Michigan, there were plenty of regulations that were put in place, plenty of safeguards that were put in place, but it's still in its infancy. Has there been any changes in the regulatory processes and the rules that are in place over this first 8-month period as more happens, as experience comes into play and we learn more about the online gambling industry and how it affects Michigan over the course of time?
Well, of course, each platform operator, and understand there's the 3 Detroit casinos have platforms, and each of the tribal nations also. So 11 of the tribes have online platforms operating in the state of Michigan today. Each one was required to go through an extensive background as far as their financials, criminal reviews, and ensuring that the games that they wanted to offer to the citizens here in the state went through our testing process. So we continue to review those games as they're submitted by the platforms. There's internal controls that we continue to review, and our staff is always ensuring that the platforms are following the internal controls and the Gaming Act that was passed by the legislature.
So Michigan Michigan permits online gambling and online gaming in things such as poker. Some states, however, other states, neighboring states, and those across the union may not have those rules in place, but there is a system that is and a rule that is in place called interstate compacting, particularly as it relates to online poker, which is the ability for Michiganders to go head-to-head against players in other states. How does that work? Because here in Michigan, as far as I'm aware, you can't be gambling in Michigan's online gaming systems unless you are a Michigan resident, correct?
That is correct. So to participate in the online platforms here in Michigan, you must be located here in Michigan. What you're referencing, Tyler, is the multi-state compact agreement that we're still negotiating with the other states at this time. So we're hoping to have the multi-state compact completed by the end of the year, and then individuals will be able to participate in particular poker games over state lines.
So now that we're 8 months plus into online gaming, online gaming and gambling in particular being legalized in the state of Michigan, we have more of these outlets that are popping up. There's going to continue to be more that pop up as that industry here in the Great Lakes state continues to develop. What kind of certifications do these different organizations, the different businesses have to go through in order to provide some proof of their legitimacy and their proper operations to the state, so the state can make sure that they are practicing their business, they're doing their business practices correctly within the rules, that they're aware of them, and that they are capable of operating within the rules, because gambling can quickly become a big problem for a lot of people, especially if there are nefarious operations that are facilitating them.
That's true, Ty. We will first encourage all citizens to go to the Michigan Gaming Control Board's website. On our site, we have a list of legal operators who can operate within the state of Michigan. There's links to their website from our page. There's, of course, a lot of companies out here that aren't licensed by the board, which means they're operating illegally if they're operating here and offering their platforms or their games to citizens here in the state. We continue to work with the state police, the Attorney General's office, to ensure that we keep organized crime out of the gaming industry here in Michigan. So I would encourage citizens to always go to our page to identify the legal companies that are operating here in the state, because we do require them to go through a licensing process.
We're joined by Henry Williams. He is the Executive Director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board, with us today on the MegaCast. And of course, these new laws have been in place for about 8 months. We've been in this pandemic for about double that time, about 16 months since March of 2020. At this point, it's been almost exactly 16 months, or just about exactly 16 months. How has the pandemic played into the development of Michigan's online gaming and online gambling industry, and what support has the state provided because of that development, which in some cases hasn't necessarily been something that a lot of businesses maybe planned to do, but maybe did as a result of the pandemic?
Well, clearly, the online gaming has allowed citizens the opportunity to participate in gambling activities online, not necessarily having to leave their homes. They can practically use any device they would like to have access to online gaming. The business of the casinos, especially the commercial casinos here in the city of Detroit, they continue to follow health protocols established by the state and federal government. They continue to follow some of the requirements that the Gaming Control Board put in place as far as their sanitizing, cleaning, spacing of machines, plexiglass between machines, to ensure the safety of the citizens.
We're joined by Henry Williams. He is the Executive Director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board, with us today on the MegaCast. And in terms of our casinos, because the Gaming Control Board also oversees regulating our casinos, particularly you mentioned the three big casinos downtown in Detroit. In terms of COVID-19 precautions and protections that are in place, because these casinos in normal times can sometimes have not excessive, but extreme capacities in their buildings, and that, of course, is not conducive to preventing the spread of COVID-19. What current precautions are in place at Michigan's casinos, particularly those in downtown Detroit, as those are the most frequented, to prevent the spread of COVID?
Well, currently, the properties are requiring their employees, one, to continue to wear face masks. Citizens are not required to wear face masks. They're welcome to wear face masks in the casino. Casinos will provide those face masks to the citizens. As I said earlier, they continue to sanitize and disinfect their high touch areas. There's plexiglass between slot machines. They continue to have plexiglass on certain table games. And these are all in place to ensure that citizens are safe. The Michigan Gaming Control Board has staff that's located inside the casino, basically 24 hours out of the day, to ensure that certain protocols are in place to ensure the safety of all the citizens.
We're joined by Henry Williams. He is the executive director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board today on the with us today on the MegaCast. In terms of the online gaming industry and online gambling industry, we are, again, as I said earlier, just in the infancy of this here in the state of Michigan. We're 8 months into it, but it's showing a lot of promise already. And with the pandemic slowly but surely developing forward, hopefully reaching a resolution at some point here soon, that development is going to continue to change. Where do you see this industry going and growing in the coming months and in the coming years as it travels out of its infancy and gains some regular traction and ground here in the Great Lakes state?
Yes, as I stated earlier, the next thing coming for online gaming here in the state of Michigan will be a multi-state poker opportunities that will be available for the citizens. The casinos are always very remarkable in their marketing, in their forethought, in providing entertainment to citizens here in the state as related to gaming. I will always remind citizens that any form of gambling is for entertainment purposes only. It's not to double your money or to enhance any type of revenue you think you can make from the casinos. It's strictly for entertainment purposes.
We're joined by Henry Williams, the executive director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board. And Henry, just another minute or so with you today before we'll have to say goodbye. And so before we go, I do want to talk again about protections that are in place, particularly for gamblers. Care to provide some of those resources that may be available if somebody does realize, or someone's family or a loved one comes to that realization that somebody in their life or themselves may have a gambling issue that, of course, can be exacerbated through greater means of accessing gambling through online gaming.
Yes, Tyler. Each online platform, each are required to provide an opportunity for citizens to limit their time on the sites, to limit their spending on the sites, and to self-exclude themselves from those sites. In addition to that, the Michigan Gaming Control Board has offer opportunities for individuals to sign themselves out of the casino on our disassociated persons list, and also to remove themselves from the platforms anywhere from 1 to 5 years.
We're joined by Henry Williams, the executive director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board, and of course another protection that is in place in partnership with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services is the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline. If you do have a problem or need to speak to someone about gambling, about your gambling issues, that phone number is 1-800-270-7117. Again, that is 1-800-270-7117. Henry, anything else for us today that would be interesting for our audience to know or important for our audience to know about the work of the Michigan Gaming Control Board or about online gambling in that industry and online gaming in that industry here in the state of Michigan going forward?
Yes, Tyler. Again, I would just remind citizens that gambling is for entertainment purposes only. And thank you for sharing the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services number. And if citizens find themselves in a position where they need help, please reach out to the Michigan Gaming Control Board or the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Yeah, there are great resources at the state government's website about problem gambling and about assistances that are in place for you to get the help that you may need. And of course, there are a lot of protections that are in place through the Gaming Control Board and through other departments in the state to help you prevent yourself from getting in that situation if you want to take a proactive approach as well. Henry, we appreciate your time, we appreciate your insight and giving us information about a really interesting new industry here in the state of Michigan that's gaining a lot of ground and a lot of traction very early on in its legality. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.